Once you're happy with your ad hoc view that you created, you may wish to turn it into a report. The reason why you might turn it into a report is so that you can then schedule it to run automatically later. In order to do this, we're going to navigate to the ad hoc view that we've previously created. In this case, I'm going to use one from the frequently asked queries folder that can be found in the common section of the repository. Once you're there, you're going to right click on the ad hoc view you're interested in and select Create Report. It'll ask you what you want to create the report with, but we're always going to be using the default report template, so you can just click OK here. Once you click OK, Jaspersoft will then produce that report for you. It'll start to run, and then it will present you with this screen. The screen that it will present you with presents the ad hoc view results similarly to how you saw them when you were setting it up, but it's in a cleaner format. You can't see a lot of the bars down the sides, and it's presenting to you in a more final version. As you can see here, we've loaded 50 pages worth of data, and this is page 1. Just here, we've got an option that if we click on, it gives us the input controls, and this tells us what filters we've applied to this data when we set it up. You can change these if you wish at this stage, but you can't change the way the filter operates. So all of these filters are equals functions. So I can change them to be equals yes, no, or null, but I can't change the fact that it's equals. I can't then select is one of. If you wish to make any such wholesale changes, you'd have to do that back in the ad hoc view itself and then save your report from there. Once you're happy with all of this, you've got these two options here. You can either export, as we've done previously, or you can save your data using the save icon just there. As you can see, it will automatically name your file, whatever the ad hoc view is called, and it'll just add report to the end. I'm going to save as. It's automatically put report on the end, and it will default to being saved wherever you found it in the first place. So I'm just going to click save. Once that report is saved, you're all done. Now, I'm going to navigate back to the repository by going view repository. It's taken me back to the folder I was previously in, and as you can see here, I've now got a file within the folder called video exercise report. You can see here under type that that's been made into a report. From here, if we right click, we can now schedule that report to run automatically. Schedule will take you to this screen, which will show you all of the schedules that exist for that job, for that report. As you can see, because this is a new one I've just created, there are no jobs scheduled for this report. So we have to create one, and we can find that up here to the top left. When you're going to run your schedule, you get 4 tabs to work through. You get the first one, which operates the schedule. You can set this to start immediately or on a specific date using this calendar functionality. I'm going to select the 1st of January. We'll leave the time zone as it is, and the recurrence type is probably the most interesting part. So we can say simple, and you can set it to run every 7 days, for example. You can set it to run at any regular basis that you would like. Minutes, hours, days, weeks. You might wish to run every 4 weeks to run periodically, or 7 days if you're going to do weekly. Completely up to you. In terms of how long that will run for, you can have it running either a set number of times, so I can have this run 13 times, until a specified date using the calendar function again, or we can just have it run indefinitely until we decide to stop it. We have a calendar of dates here to exclude, but we don't tend to exclude any dates. It's only got New Year's days. If your report runs on New Year's Day, it will run by itself and you'll be able to see it when you come back to work anyway. So we don't tend to exclude any dates. Alternatively, you've got a calendar repetition where you can specify whether it runs every month, or you can set it to run multiple months. For example, you want to run the first 6 months of the year, and you can run it every Monday, for example. You can also specify dates in a month, whether that's individuals or date ranges, such as 9 through 12, 1 through 17. And you can also specify what time of day you'd like that to run. Similarly, you can enter your schedule end date using the calendar function, and we're going to exclude ignore the holidays to exclude as well. So this schedule will be set up to run from the 1st of January. It'll run every Monday from January through June. Once you're happy with your schedule, you can move on to parameters. It will also give you tooltips, such as that one, in case you try and put the dates in the past. Once you get to parameters, this will give you the screen that you would expect based on the previous exercise we've seen where we were looking at as a report. Again, you can change how these filters operate in terms of the answer you're giving, but I can't change the fact that these are all equals in their nature. If you do change these, you have this option to save current values, and you can have a new set of filters for this report in particular, but it won't change the overarching report itself. It will just change it for this schedule. Third, we have output options. This one will detail the name the file is going to be under, which, as I mentioned before, will always default to the name of the ad hoc view with report on the end. You've also able to put in a description. We leave the time zone and the output locale as they are, and you can choose what format you'd like to export the data in. It'll always default to PDF, but you can choose a CSV file, you could choose HTML, you can choose an Excel document, and you can choose multiple. Under here in file handling, we've got how it will save those files in Jaspersoft. So at the moment, it will always overwrite the files, so you will only ever have the most recent version of the truth. If, for example, you wanted to do an audit trail, or it was something where you were doing some ongoing monitoring, you might want to use sequential file names by timestamp. This will resave a new file every time the report runs with a new timestamp on the end. So you'll have a full history of every time the report ran and the outputs that came from it. The default timestamp goes from years all the way down to minutes, but that might be a bit too precise. You might want to just take its days or just months, whatever you choose. The output destination will default to wherever the folder you found that ad hoc view in the first place. You can change that by clicking Browse, but for the most part, it might well be safe to leave where it is. But you can pick the folder that you'd like to save in within Jaspersoft. In terms of the output outside of Jaspersoft, the final tab is Notifications. This email notification will send a report when the scheduler runs. So in this case, I might enter an email address of somebody I wish to send this to. And then whenever the report runs, they will get an email with this information in. CC, BCC, subject and message, well, exactly as you would expect for an email. And you can either choose whether to include reports as repository links in the email body or files as attachments. If you include the reports as a repository link in the email body, the email will contain a URL that can take people to the file in Jaspersoft. This is great if the person who's receiving it has a Jaspersoft account and can access that information. But if they don't, they will not be able to view the query. If that is the case, it might be best to include report files as attachments. Then you attach whatever file types you've chosen in the previous step to this email. If one of the ones you've chosen is HTML, you can include a HTML report in the email body. You can also choose to attach the files as a zip attachment. And you can set it to not send emails for empty reports if your schedule runs a report and it doesn't return any information. You can also send job status notifications. These are more for the person running the report themselves to notify them whether or not it's worked correctly. So if I was to put my own email in here, then every time the report ran, I would get a notification of my choice to dictate whether or not the report has run successfully or not. I can input my own subject, and I can choose whether I send a success notification so that every time it runs successfully, I'll get an email saying report has run successfully, or a failure notification so that if it ever doesn't work correctly, I'll just get a message saying report has not run successfully, and I can look into that further. You can choose one of these, either of these, or both, or none. Once you're happy with all of that, you can select Save. It will also pop up with tooltips if you've missed anything out. So in this case, we have to have a subject. So I'm going to do test schedule 1. And up here, I'll put Save. And I'll send myself a success notification of report ran successfully. And click Save. There, it will ask you to give your scheduler a name. So I will just give this a name now. And select Save.